everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Hey, Hippie John. All right, guys, I'm going to go to the participants list so I can say some hellos. So I've got Too Coolie for Schoolie, Atkins Nature Aquariums, Bunny Viper, Crypt Peeper, Dennis, Fishymon, Hippie John, MNC Aquatics, Myrtle, Pulse Tarot, Surf City Sitlets, and Vibes Aquatics. And let's go back. So, how's everybody doing tonight? Dennis, is it too loud? All right, guys. Thank you, Myrtle. I don't know if you guys can still see it or not because it left my screen, but I did put the. Oh, there we go. Chat jumped. I did put the link to StreamYard up at the top if anybody wants to come up and join me. Good night, Paul. So, what do you guys want to talk about tonight? Really don't have anything that I had planned. Good night, Paul. It's almost midnight here, so I completely understand if y'all have to go to bed. Mary Beth, who am I holding? This is Barbie. Trying to get her to look. She's 16 years old. Vibes Aquatics. Tips for growing water lilies. These water lilies literally took over my pond. This last weekend, I actually cleaned out the pond. This was last year when I cleaned it out. 2 years ago when I cleaned it out, the picture that's behind me. But I cleaned it out again, and it was literally like 6 inches of roots and all of that. So basically, cut them back in the wintertime before it gets really cold. And the main thing is getting a water lily that is hardy for your area. I'm down in the south, so pretty much any of the more tropical hardy lilies will grow. But if you're somebody up in the north or who has colder temperatures, you may have to get a different type of water lily. They do really good in pots. There is some fertilizer that you can use for them. I don't fertilize mine. They were pretty well established when I took over the pond when I moved in 2 years ago. So just cut away anything that's dead. pretty much, and keep them in check. Don't let them cry each other out too much. So that was one of the big things that mine were starting to not bloom as much because they were just way overcrowded. So you have to thin them out. Hey, Jimmy P, have a good night. So we've got a couple other people who's come in. Vibes Aquatics, Mary Beth, Mark, and Dream Fish Keeping, and Jimmy P. So for those who, and Crypt Keeper just dropped in. Hey, Crypt Keeper. So anybody who wants to come up on stream, click that StreamYard link that Myrtle popped in, and you'll have to say yes to having access to your camera and to your microphone, and it'll ask you if you want to come in, and then you'll come backstage and I'll pop you up on the screen. What size pond? It's about 500 gallons, give or take. It's kind of hard to really get a good handle on the exact size just because of the odd shape that it is. It was my grandmother's pond, and so I don't really know an exact size, but it's about 500 gallons. It may be a little over. So if anybody's seen the thumbnail, Vibes Aquatics wants to know if anybody has African cichlids outside in a pond. Vibes Aquatics. So thank you guys for telling everybody to smash that like button. I forget to say it. But to answer your question on African cichlids, I do know of a couple people on YouTube that have cichlids in a pond outdoors. One of them that comes to mind is Kenan from Camp Kenan. He lives in Florida, so he doesn't get very cold winters, and so he does have an African cichlid pond that he goes swimming in, which is really cool because he takes his little GoPro camera down there and swims with the fish and the turtles. So Dennis, I've never seen a pond this shape either. I'm not sure where she got it from. This pond has been here since I was a teenager, and I'm in my 30s now. So I'm 36. So yeah, it's been up and running for quite a while. When I got it, it didn't have anything but a couple of shiners in there, so I basically took everything out and pressure washed it and set it back up and then put some goldfish in. So we have cats in our area that my neighbors don't exactly keep indoors or out of other people's yards. And so I had a lot of my goldfish go missing. You're welcome, Vibes. And so when I cleaned out the pond this last weekend, I had 4 or 5 of my original goldfish, and you can tell because they're so much bigger than the other ones. But I had a lot of babies, and I counted 31, which was really awesome because I put 20 in to begin with and then lost 15 of them. So yeah. Crypt Keeper. So yes, I have 8 tanks. I keep. I'll start on one side of the house and go to the other side. So in my spare bedroom office area, I keep um, a 30-gallon tank with Neolamprologus multifasciatus, also known as Multus shell dwellers. They're by far the easiest fish to breed, in my opinion, that I have ever had. Um, they actually breed more prolifically, however you say that, for me than guppies did. So they're absolutely amazing. And then I have 5 tanks that have betas in them. 2 of my beta tanks do have other fish in with them. I've got one that's got bristlenose pleco and some cory cats, and then I've got another one that's got some neon tetras in. Most of my tanks have ghost shrimp just because they're cheap and I love them. um, I have a saltwater tank, which I just had to redo, so I rescaped it and redid the whole thing. Um, and then I have a second multi-tank, which is kind of my holding tank. That's a 10-gallon. And then I've got one tank that I don't have set up at the moment. I did a paludarium. I did it from scratch. I took old 10-gallon tanks and took them apart and cut the glass and did it. But I used the wrong moss on the background because nobody told me not to get the green reptile, whatever moss to put on there. And it turned my water green and killed my beta. I was very upset about that. So I stripped everything out of it and have to get some good sphagnum moss to put all the plants back on the background and all of that. Um, so that one's not running. And then the last one that I have it's actually going to be a crabbitat. Thanks to Ed. He got me thinking that I needed to just get off my butt and do it. I had the tank and I had most of what I needed to do it with. I had just not done it yet. But it's got some uh, blue-eyed daisy rice fish in it. For now, they're going to go into that other paludarium style tank. And so then I have the pond. Yes, Tanganyika cichlids are awesome. If I were to get a large tank like a 55 or a 60, I would do a Tanganyika tank and have the multis and a couple of the other cave dwelling species in it. That would be a really awesome tank. But I would really want to have 2 of them so I could have that and the saltwater. Vibes, my African cichlids that I used to have ate my ghost shrimp. Hey, Mississippi Hippie, Melvin's Reef. So, does anybody here keep ghost shrimp or any other kind of shrimp with their African citlets. Thank you, Crypt Keeper. I do need to do some more videos. I have my multi-tank up there, and I have my 3 rescue beta tanks on my channel. But yeah. Oh, Surf City, that's awesome. Hey, Melvin. Does anyone breed or keep frontosas? Surf City Citlets does, Melvin, or Vibes. Crypt Keeper, let us know how that goes. The Caridina have always seemed to be a little more not as easy to keep from what I've read. The only thing I've tried to keep was the Blue Dream Neocaridina, and that didn't work out too well. Oh yeah, Crypt Keeper pop-ups are pretty cool. So does anybody here keep saltwater? Melvin, I see you have Melvin Reef, so do you keep saltwater? Oh, Vibes, wow, 4 saltwater tanks, that's amazing. I have one, it's a 29 gallon, and it was giving me heck, so I redid the whole thing. Crypt Keeper, I debated it for quite a while, and I finally got one, and I love it. I just got overrun with hair algae that took over extremely fast. Thank you, Melvin. Atkins Nature Aquariums, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Crypt Keeper. Crypt Keeper says to get some phosphate pads to toss in the filter for hair algae. Yeah, Atkins Nature Aquariums, I got sidetracked there. Um, 10-gallon reef tank full of softies and a pistol shrimp a goby pair. That's awesome. Hey, GRB. Atkins, you're cool. No, no problem. Yeah, Crypt Keeper, pretty sure my phosphates went high. Um, over the it was literally like in a 3-day time span, it went from just a very small amount of hair algae to the entire tank was covered. So um, I just redid the whole thing. And I was having some issues because the salt that I had used was not any good anymore. So I just happened to look at PetSmart because I wanted to get it as quick as possible, and I have free delivery through DoorDash from PetSmart, and they had the big 5-gallon buckets of salt for $40, and they're usually 80, so it was half off. So I went ahead and got a bucket because I'd planned on getting a bag of salt and then putting it in a bucket with a lid, but I was like, I may as well, since it's on sale, spend a little bit more and just get the bucket of salt. And between my tank and my mom's tank, we'll have plenty of salt. Atkins Aquariums, yeah, 40 breeder would be really, really awesome. I I've not done Zoas, um, or leathers. I do want to get a leather, and I've got a lot of softies. I've got, um, I had some issues. So basically, with the hair algae, I had read a lot and had seen where people were using hydrogen peroxide to get rid of the hair algae. It kills the bacteria on the rock, but I was like, hey, at least I can get half the rock out, get all the hair algae off, and then not completely crash my cycle, but get most of it. And so the rock that I had my frog spawn on had a ton of it. So I put the rock, not the whole frog spawn, just the rock, and the hydrogen peroxide solution, and I took a brush and I scrubbed it. Well, somehow that hydrogen peroxide splashed on my frog spawn and killed my frog spawn. So let's just say I've not had the best week. The same night is the night that I tripped and fell down the stairs and all of that. So it's not a good night. But so yeah, I will be looking for another spot frog spawn. I do still have my hammer coral. I like the Euphilia corals. Um, I have some acans and some, what is it? I can't remember the name of it. Pulsing zinnia. I have some pulsing zinnia, which is on its own little island. Surf City Sitlets triggers are awesome. Crypt Peeper, yeah, it's 12:15 a.m. here as well. So good night and thanks for stopping in. Atkins, yeah, I don't know how mine haven't yet. It's weird though because they're doing fine. My candy cane is good. I do have a candy cane as well. My candy cane is good. My A cans are good. My hammer is so-so. It's not really growing very well, but it's not dying either. But like I had some um I have to think of the name of them. The star polyps. I had star polyps. They were growing great, and then all of a sudden they were all gone. So I don't know. It's weird. Vibes wants to know if anyone has aquaponics above their tanks. I do not. But does anyone else here have that? Vibes, when you say aquaponics, do you mean like growing fruits, vegetables, herbs that are edible, or do you mean having plants that are basically have their feet wet but are outside the tank? Like we used to grow pothos outside of the tank. Myrtle, yeah. So yeah, he's talking about growing fruits and vegetables. I have not. I have a vegetable garden. I did have to go grocery shopping today and stopped by Tractor Supply and got a few things and then found a few more veggies that I'll have to plant in a few days once they harden off. Atkins, what kind of light are you running? Do you have a light that is specifically made for salt water? Vibes, you've got vegetables above your Mbuna tank, water's crystal clear. I bet with all that, those vegetables pulling up all those nutrients. Yeah, that's amazing. GRB, yeah. Um, terrestrial plants growing out the corners of my tanks, but not veggies. I do have flat leaf parsley growing out the top of the tank. It's a perfect plant for filling the corner gaps of tanks. Yes, I've got Italian flatleaf parsley growing in my garden, but I had not thought about growing it out of a tank. That is a really good idea, GRB. Okay, yeah. The reason I ask is because when I first set up my saltwater tank, I had a 20-gallon long, and I had two freshwater tank lights on it, and just put them on the blue lights, and my corals were doing okay. But I got a new light for Christmas that is specific to saltwater, and it's got the UV and all the different types of blues and all of that. And so my SPSs, my LPS are doing a little better since I got that. I think they just needed a little brighter of a light. Yeah, that's a good question, Mark. Which veggies do you recommend to grow hydroponically? I know that pretty much any of the herbs, parsley and cilantro and basil, the basic herbs you can grow, but I'm not sure about the vegetables. Kale and onions. Cool. Grow light above the veggies. Okay, that makes sense. Atkins Nature, yeah, my light was a $200 light. Luckily it was a gift for Christmas, but it's not a prime. I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to check and catch back up with you and let you know. But it seems to work pretty well. I hook it up to my Wi-Fi ran plugs and program it to go on and off the same time every day. So Kesel lights are good lights too. Vibes, that sounds like a really awesome project there. Good night, Myrtle. Thank you. Yeah, skylights. Skylights are cool, but natural, filtered natural light helps with plant and algae growth. AI Hydra, Atkins Marine. I use the AI Hydra on my saltwater tanks. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one as much. Yeah. So I did all um, low income, I guess, low budget, minimum budget, whatever things for my saltwater tank. So I have a canister filter and I made a mini refugium out of a little hang on back breeder box that has 3 sections. And I put filter media and rock rubble and my Kato, however you say it, back there. And I use 3 small pond pumps for one for the refugium and just like a little mini refugium, and 2 for directional flow. And then I have a spray bar on my canister filter, so kind of gives me the flow that I need without spending bukudos of money on pumps. Yeah, Atkins, not having to use a bunch of different apps is helpful. So, yeah. Yeah, Atkins Nature Aquariums. I did, like, at first I didn't get the proper light. I had the freshwater light because it was something that I already had. So when I first started my tank, I didn't have as much on it as I do now. I've kind of added things here and there as I went along. Um, but yeah, it's definitely better to get what you can to begin with so that you don't have to keep buying to upgrade. Oh, that's nice. The Fiji Cube all-in-one insert kit. Okay, I have to look into that. Atkins, I did the same thing. I bought everything that I needed to buy was bought over about a 6-month period. And then it took me about 2 months to get the tank cycled. So, so is anybody here working on any projects or going to start working on projects? Vibes. Funny you should ask. So, how do you deal with green algae water in outdoor ponds? There's a couple ways. You can seed things like Daphnia or other live foods in the pond that would eat the green water. Um, and then your fish would have live foods. Or you can use, there is products out there that you can use to put in the pond that take care of algae. You just have to make sure that you increase aeration in the pond because it'll decrease the oxygen. Um, or you can do a water change. With my pond being smaller, it's easy for me to siphon out half the water and put half the water back in. Um, okay, yeah, freshwater pods in the pond. The freshwater pods will eat some of that green water, some of the algae. Um, and you wouldn't want to use the chemical algae killer because then it would probably kill your pods. So if it gets full sun, if you can put something over it or something to where it's not getting full sun all day long and cut down on some of the light, that's an option. Or you can get some floating plants and put in there. Adding extra plants, adding some floating plants so that, because for me, the biggest issue that I have, yes, vibes. The biggest issue that I have is my pond is in full sunlight. There are pond filters that have the UV light um, that you can use. Just be sure to change out your UV light yearly because it may still light up, but the intensity will decrease. But yes, there you can use the UV light. increased filtration whenever my pond pump went out. So I still need to get a new pond pump so that I can get the elephant going again. But I did notice whenever I was using the pond pump and it was filtering more water, I did have less of the algae issues. So increase oxygen, decrease light, use a UV filter. Well, that's nice. I do have a pond in the backyard that we haven't done anything with that is going to be a huge, huge undertaking to clean it out. It probably hasn't been cleaned out in 8 to 10 years. Um, it used to be a 1,000 gallon pond turning over 5 times in 1 hour. Yeah, that's good filtration. I would probably look into the UV light at that point. But we have a pond in the backyard that used to be a swimming pool. And what she did was when we were younger, she dug down, I think it's 3.5 feet, and lined it with fiberglass and put our swimming pool up. And you're welcome, vibes. And put a deeper liner in the swimming pool to make our swimming pool deeper. So when she took the swimming pool down, she had a very large hole in the yard. So she put a pond liner in and created a pond. So it has a lot of really good um, plants in it. It's got um, the extra lilies are back there and all of that. I have yet to see fish in it. Like I said, it's been about 10 years since anything's really been done with it. But I do know there's frogs and all of that in there. So it's got its own little ecosystem right now. Um, but yeah, eventually I want to get it cleaned out and stocked again. I've thought about getting koi to go in it. I keep hitting the screen. Yeah, ecosystem ponds are amazing. This one is a closed ecosystem, but the I can't remember the exact name for it. Wetlands filter. You can do a pond with a wetlands filter. That is like the best filtration ever for a pond. And then, of course, it includes a waterfall, which is always awesome. I just really like the sound of waterfalls. I did a miniature waterfall in my crab habitat. I have to do a video on that. I did a short on it, but I'll have to put together a video of kind of how I built it. I'm gonna go for another 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're gonna get off of here. It's 12:40. Good night, Vibes. It was good to have you here tonight. Thank you. Sorry, guys. I didn't really have a specific topic for tonight, so it's been a slow night. But we do still have 18 still watching. Thank you guys for hanging out. Atkins, my plan with my reef. So yes, I am looking for some corals. I will be looking for another frog spawn since mine just died. I have a hammer, so I'm gonna be looking for a couple other Euphilia corals, some more soft corals. But basically, I am going to Aquaticon in Tennessee next month, and so I'm saving up a little bit of money, and whatever I can find there that catches my eye, that I know is something that's more of a beginner coral that I can hopefully not kill, is what I'll go with. So I am on the hunt for some Euphilia. I do want to get a leather. I'm probably going to get a mushroom or two. I don't really know which ones yet. I may get a Recordia. I'm not sure. So yeah, it's all going to depend on what all's there at Aquaticon. My local store is an amazing store, but they have very, very limited stock on what kinds of corals they have, and most of them are zoas or paleothoas. And I'm staying away from paleotoxins, so I'm not putting any paleothoas or zoanthids in my tank. BJ Palmer, what's happening? How are you tonight? This morning, I should say. It's like 12:45 here. So Atkins, I guess I should be calling you Ian. I like need to make a list of everybody's names. Yeah, see, I did research and I seen all this stuff on it killing some people, but and I have like enough issues as it is, so it scared me half to death. And so I've still not gotten over that. And James tells me all the time it's nothing to be afraid of. You know how to use your PPE and to stay safe and all of that. And um but I just haven't really made that leap yet. Okay, cool. Thank you. Ian is Atkins and Glenn is GRB. Good to know. Tested. Billie Jean, I almost read that as tasted, but I see it's tested. Water change shortly. Hey, Danikin. Kenny E is in the house. And Mississippi Hippie is Sherry. Yes, I definitely need to get a list together so I can start remembering. Yeah, Ian, I've thought about it. I see all these beautiful pictures of Zoa gardens with all the different colors and just all of it popping. And I'm like, that is so gorgeous. So one day maybe. Glued your Zoas in barehanded. Yeah, see, I'm not. I don't. I do a lot of things barehanded, but when I deal with my corals, I learned the hard way um, to wear my gloves. The day that when I got my frog spawn, I was actually at Aquaticon, Florida last year. Or not Aquaticon, Aquashella, Orlando last year when I got my frog spawn. And I was checking on them and everything because I was driving back home to Georgia. And that frog spawn stung the crap out of my hand. And I was like, oh my God, what just happened? Yeah, so when I deal with my corals, I wear my gloves so I don't get stung again. Kenny he says, I had the most amazing day with Alex today. Had a blast. I am so glad you did. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Myrtle. gotten tank water in my mouth more times than I can count. Yeah, me too. Ian, I am scared. Yeah, I have seen where NIMS are worse. It wasn't really the sting that bothered me, it was the itching. It would not quit itching for days. Yeah, you would think that we would be like immune to everything with all the tank water that we've all tasted over the years. Yeah. Yeah, Ian, you never know. I might change my mind one day. What is that show? 1,000? Is it 101 or 1,001? There's some kind of show. I think it's 1,001 Ways to Die. I don't think I've seen Coral on there. Kenny, the different flavor of waters. Citlets, guppies, plecos, mud skippers. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm actually out on my front porch. So I'm in the rocking chair, so when I rock back I guess I'm too far away from the camera or something. Kenny, how's your shoulder doing? Ooh. Wow. Yeah. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. We don't have a so-called reef very close to shore out here, but we do have beach, ocean, and I remember as a kid being out there and I had some little spaghetti noodle float things, and I'll never forget this. There was a fish that jumped in my lap because I had one behind my arms and one under my knees in the ocean. And I picked it up and I threw it. And my grandma was like, "What'd you do that for? Those are good eating." And I was like, "Because it scared me." Yes. Yeah, I always make sure that I keep certain um, towels to use when I'm working in my saltwater tank, and then I have certain ones that I use with my freshwater tanks. Yeah, Ian, fragging's a whole different story. Okay, Kenny, partial tear, one tendon in the bicuspid muscle is off the bone and it needs to be reset. So you go in Monday to see what needs to be done. Yeah, I'm glad you finally have answers. I know it's a pain in the butt, or a pain in the shoulder, but I really hope you get to feeling better soon. Wow. Yeah, I've always wanted to go snorkeling and diving. I would really love to do diving. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Myrtle. I don't have to worry about it right now either because I don't have any. Yeah, I like the corals that kind of move and sway with the current. Yeah, and that's Australia has been one of those places that I've always wanted to go to, especially um since I was a kid, I've always wanted to go to Australia, and just watching some of the um I guess videos or um whatever you want to call them. They're like an hour long, so I don't know if it would be a movie or not. Anyway, watching the underwater footage in Australia, um, it just makes me want to go and dive there even more. Yes, it is a lot of overload with it. Yeah, I've seen some recent articles about that. the change in water temperature and things are starting to create issues. All right, everyone. We've been going for a little over an hour now, so I'm going to get ready to go. So thank you all for joining. There's still 15 hanging out with me, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning here. So thank you guys. I cannot go into the ocean anymore deeper than standing depth. I always start hearing the Jaws music. Kenny with the saltwater tank. Oh boy. That would be a whole new set of Kennyisms, I'm guessing. Thank you, Mark. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for stopping in. Thank you to all my listeners, all my lurkers, my replay crew, my live chatters, everybody. Thank you guys so much. And you all have a great rest of the night. Bye.